It is now time for VAT once again. But now we're working in reverse, and so I had to come up with formulas, and so that's why you have to see, but that's why you see it on the screen. So these are formulas I make up as I go, because with some sums, maths would require you to think, and so I always make up formulas so that it's easy for people to remember them. Okay, so you'll see that I said use 15% for VAT. Okay, but you can just use 14% if the question says use 14%. But going forward, let's just stick to what it is because it's 15% now. All right, let's read the question. It says, if I pay 64, it's supposed to be rands, and if you're using another currency, you can use that currency, and that amount is VAT included or VAT inclusive, meaning that there's already VAT calculated on that amount, and that was for a painting. How much of the price is VAT, and what was the price before VAT was added? Okay, I'll read it again. I pay, it's supposed to be I. Why is it A? Let's just fix that quickly. I. Okay, take that as an I. Sorry about that. I pay 64 rands, VAT included, for a painting. How much of the price is VAT? And what was the price before VAT was added? Okay, so there are two questions there. The first one is how much was the price before VAT? How much is the price of VAT? And what was the price before VAT was added? So firstly, we are looking for VAT excluded amount. Okay, so we want to take the VAT out. So the formula that I made up says VAT excluded equals VAT inclusive amount. VAT inclusive amount. So this amount will be this amount that they gave to us because they told us that the amount has VAT in it, right? And then how you going to get the VAT excluded amount is you have to multiply. Now listen, this is very important. You multiply by a percentage that you're looking for, right? And so you'll remember that with the video that we were calculating the VAT amount, we were adding 14% on top of 100%, right? We were adding 14% on top of, well, we added 15% because we're using 15% now. We added 15% on top of the 100%, so that it gave us a total of 115%. Okay, so the VAT inclusive amount is 115%. Okay, so now we are looking for the 100% because we want to take out the 15%. So the percentage looking for, which is at the top, will then be 100, and there I've got it written down in the second step. So the percentage given is 115 because think about it this way. If you were an entrepreneur and you were selling something, if you said to yourself, I want to make a profit of so much, and then on top of that you realize that you need to add VAT on top of that, you're not going to take the VAT out of your profit, you're going to add the VAT on top of the profit. Do you see that? So you want a specific amount, and so if you want to pay VAT, you have to add on top of the specific amount that you want, and that's why it's 115. So you're not going to take out the 15% out of your profit because that's going to make your business run at a loss, or you're not going to make as much as you want to make. Okay, if that doesn't make sense, repeat it and think about it in a language that makes sense to you. Think about a cell phone. If you want a specific profit on a cell phone, you're going to increase the amount that you bought it for with a specific amount, but then if you have to pay VAT, if you want 300 rands profit, you're going to add 15% on top of the 300 rands. You're not going to say, okay, I'm going to subtract the 15% from the 300 rands so that I can pay VAT. That's not how it works. Okay, and so that's basically how you do calculations and how people in business do stuff. So now you want you be calculating for the VAT excluded amount, and so we take the VAT inclusive or VAT included amount, which is the 64. We multiply it by the percentage we're looking for. The percentage that we're looking for is the VAT exclusive amount, right? And so if we want the VAT exclusive amount, that's going to be 100%, and we're going to divide it by the VAT inclusive percentage, which is 115. So now let us do our calculation to find out what the amount is. So we've got 64 multiply with 100 over 115, and that gives us a total of 55 and 65 cents. So that amount, 55 rands 65 cents, is the amount that does not have VAT, because we've just taken it out. Do you see that it's less? So that means we have it's about 9 rand. Yeah, but we'll calculate it it's about 8 rand something. We'll calculate it in the next question, which is this here. So that formula gives you the amount straight away. Okay, so let me warn you. You can't get the VAT amount by saying 64 multiplied by 15 over 100, and then whatever you get, you're going to subtract from 64. No, you can't do it that way. Here's why you can't do it that way. Because if you do it that way, you are going to get 15% of 64. So remember that the VAT amount that was put in here is not 15% of 64. It's 15% of 55 and 65. 55 rands and 65. Do you see the difference? So that's why it's important for you to know this formula. If you know the formula, you'll be fine. So just make sure that you are learning this formula and that you use it at all times. Okay, and then we want the VAT amount. Yeah, how much of the price is VAT, and what was the price before VAT was added? Oh, this is the price before VAT was added. Okay, so now we're calculating what the VAT amount is. So we have the VAT inclusive amount, which is the cost price. This is what it cost us when you go into the shop. You go to Spar, you buy whatever you buy. There's already VAT in there. Look at the slip and you'll see it. And so 64, which is the amount with VAT included, minus the amount without VAT, which is what we've just got now. So let's calculate that. 64 minus 55.65. That gives us 8 rands and 35 cents. 8 rands and 35 cents. That is the VAT amount. So if you take the 8 rand and 35 cents and add it to the 55 and 65 cents, you're gonna get the 64. And so what I was explaining to you when I said you can't take 64 multiplied by 15 over 100 to get the VAT and then subtract it from 64 is basically this. The only way that you would have done that is if you're working forward, but this question wants us to work backwards, and that's why it's always safe to use the formula. So I'm still emphasizing, use the formula. Okay. Yeah, all right, and I hope that was easy. If it's not easy, you know the drill. Stop the video, start from the beginning. Don't just rewind. Start from the beginning so that you have a fuller picture of what I'm explaining here. And so that is what was required of you. So this here is the VAT amount. This here is the amount before VAT was added. Okay. Yeah, so let's meet each other in the next video. Cheers.